What's up guys, welcome to the GC Journey. In this video we're going to be installing the Torque Solution Turbo Oil Drain Kit. So the kit consists of a few parts. We have the AN fitting that bolts onto the turbo, has a nice O-ring there. We have this which goes into the head. It replaces the factory oil drain, and two AN fittings, a 90-degree and this is 45, I believe. They also supply this hose, braided hose comes with it, should be long enough. This kit is made for people who go usually rotated turbo setup, and they need a custom hose. The reason I decided to go for this kit is because my oil drain hose that I have on the car right now, since I have a rotated turbo setup, the hose is at a very unhealthy angle. What I thought I could gain with this kit is that the angles in the fittings would be in the fittings themselves instead of in the hose. And so the hose will be able to be as straight as possible while the angles will be in the fittings and not in the hose itself. So now I know there are probably easier ways to go about doing this job, but I really like to work where I have a lot of room to work, I have access to everything, and the lower fitting that is on the cylinder head is in a very problematic place. There's not much access to work on it. So what I'm going to do is I'll have to remove the turbo and the up pipe. In order to do that, I'll have to remove the top mount intercooler. It will be a bit of a fiddling around just to make enough room to start doing the actual job itself. This is what looks the most convenient way for me. So once the car cools down, I'll start taking everything apart, and then we'll get to installing the actual kit. Okay, turbo's out, as you can see. I'll just remove this hose. Now, looking from here, there might be enough space to work to get the fitting out. I'll try without removing the up pipe, but if I'm not successful and it's too difficult and I start, knocking my hands and cutting them and getting pissed off, so I'll remove the up pipe and then we'll have no problems at all reaching all this area. Plenty of room, so let's give it a shot.
A few moments later.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to remove the up pipe. There's a little bolt down here that I need to get to, and the up pipe is right in the way. It's blocking it, so I'm going to give myself a hard time. I'm just going to remove it. Okay, so now as you can see, we have a lot more room to work, much more clearance, and so this should make our lives a little easier. There was a lot of noise at the shop, so I had no choice but to turn the microphone off and face the fact that I would have to voice over this entire sequence. So first thing I did was to remove the oil drain pipe from the cylinder head, which came out a little too easy once removing the bolt. So before attaching the new fitting, I decided to clean the surfaces and add a little sealant. After that, it was on to removing the old turbo oil drain fitting off the turbo, cleaning the surfaces, adding sealant to the new fitting, and then it was onto the hose. At first, I attached the 45-degree fitting I wanted to go on the turbo side, but when trying to install it, I realized that these -10 AN fittings cannot be tightened down when the oil drain fitting is already installed on the turbo because they're too large and they hit on the exhaust housing. So I removed the oil drain fitting from the turbo and I attached the hose to it on the vise. Another thing to note is that if the bolts you're using have a large head, they will also need to be dropped in the oil drain fitting before attaching the hose. Again, because these AN fittings are huge and they don't leave much room to maneuver around. After attaching the hose to the turbo, I had to reinstall the up pipe and turbo to be able to take an accurate as possible measurement of where I would like to cut the hose. And after marking the hose, it was simply a matter of putting some tape and giving it a cut. Once cut, I had to remove the hose from the turbo in order to attach the second 90-degree fitting. I forgot to film the process, so here's a picture taken from my iPhone of the final result. And once the hose was ready, it was time to put everything back together. So the kit has been fitted, but there are a few things that are important to note. I'll start by saying that if a job you're doing is followed by lots of swearing and you being angry, then maybe this shouldn't be your profession. And so at some stage I stopped filming, I was a bit stressed for time, things weren't exactly going my way. There was also a lot of noise at the shop, a lot of people. I don't think that I should be a mechanic. There were two parts of this job which really the first one was tightening the lower AN fitting, the 90 degree that goes into the cylinder head. I tried reaching it from the underside, I tried reaching it from the top, and you can tighten it to a certain amount until the water return pipe that also goes into the cylinder head. Very close, they share the same bolt. And so at some point that gets in the way of getting a wrench in there. I'm sure with proper tools you can probably easily get to everything and tighten everything properly, but with the tools and knowledge and set of skills that I have, it was a real pain in the ass. It took a long time. The second thing, which I didn't even think would be an issue, was refitting the external wastegate. It's got like this very tight V-bend clamp, kept slipping off, and I didn't have room to move my hand to tighten it properly, and it was just a nightmare. That really got to me. Something that was supposed to be so simple, you know, you're already after the installation, you're now just putting things back together, and that thing took like forever. I don't know why, it was a nightmare. So if you're going to do this installation and you want to make life really easy for yourself, you would either have to pop out the right hand side axle or move the water return pipe. But that means draining coolant, and I didn't want to do that. So, I mean, it's enough I did that last episode when I was fiddling with the radiator, so I didn't want to do it again just to install the oil drain fitting. Now, in hindsight, after completing the installation, I probably should have gotten a heat sleeve for the braided hose or wrapped the up pipe with some heat shield. But I didn't think of this beforehand, I didn't get any materials, so at the moment, no heat sleeve, no heat wrap. Something I will need to get in the near future. But other than that, it wasn't a very complicated install. I thought it would be worse. I always approach these jobs very pessimistic because I'm not a mechanic. I don't have experience. This is all just, you know, fiddling around, figuring things out, you know, on the go. But all in all, I'm very happy with the final result. 10 times better, the way it's all angled, and there are no like severe bends in the hose. And so I'm very glad I did this modification. What's next? So, earlier than expected, the Fortune Auto coilovers have arrived. These coilovers are, I've just been drooling over them for years. Years they've been on my list. And now they're finally here. So, we have Cusco rear strut bar, the PRS quick steering rack, the Fortune Auto coilovers, and the Phoenix radiator, which again, I need to do the front harness if I want to install it. So I'm not quite sure what I'll do next episode, but you can expect to see one of the things that I just mentioned. Also, playing around with a new intro, let me know what you think about it. But besides that, that's all for this episode, so thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.